How to solve linear equations. Let us look at the first problem, which is 2x plus 2 equal 1. So when you solve linear equations, you must know that what you do on the left-hand side of the equation, you must also do on the right side of the equation. So the aim is only to be left with x on one side of the equation. So the first thing is that you want to get rid of this 2. So how can you get rid of the 2? You can minus 2 on this one side of the equation. But remember, you always do what you do on your left, also on the right side of the equation. So this is the same thing as 2x plus 2. But now when you minus this 2 on this side of the equation, you must also minus it on the other side of the equation. So now, if you say 2 minus 2, this will cancel out, and then that's going to just be 0. And then you are left with what? With 2x, which is equal to 1 minus 2, which is the same thing as minus 1. So now, if you want to get rid of this 2 here, which is a coefficient of x, you need to divide by 2. But now what you do on your left, you also do on your right. So you divide by 2 on the other side. So that is why this will cancel out, and then you have x is equal to negative 1 over 2. So that is how you would solve the linear equation. So normally, when we have this thing here, which is 2 here, we just transpose it and we change the sign to be negative. So we just move it from here to there, it's going to be negative. Because we know on this side it's going to cancel out and we will be left with 2x. So we just call that a transposing. It's the very same thing as minusing 2 on one side and also minusing 2 on the other side. So now if you look at the second problem, we are having this equation 2 minus x all divided by 3x plus 1 equal to 2. So the first thing that you do, you can see now you are having a fraction on this side of the equation. So you want to make this fraction to just be a linear equation. So how can you do that? You can now multiply by the same thing as the denominator so that the denominator can cancel out. So this means you can multiply on what? On this side here by 3x plus 1. Because if you multiply by 3x plus 1, this 3x plus 1 will cancel that out. But now remember, what you do on your left, you also do on your right. So that means you must also multiply here by 3x plus 1. So now what is going to happen is that, okay, this has cancelled out on this side. So what is left is just a 2 minus x, and then you have what? You have 2 multiplied by 3x and then 2 multiplied by 1. So that's going to give you what? 2 multiplied by 3x is just 6x, and then 2 multiplied by 1, that's going to be 2. So now when you are here, you're just going to make sure that everything that has x is on one side of the equation, and then everything that does not have x is on the other side of the equation. And then you do that by just using a transposing. So remember, we said that if we want to take this 2 to the other side of the equation, it's going to change the sign. So in this case, we're just having this 2 on this side, it's going to be 2 here. And then if we move this 2 to the other side, it's going to be minus 2, because we want to make whatever that has x on one side and then whatever that is not x on the other side. So on this side, we are still having 6x, so you're just going to write 6x. But now when you move this x to the other side, it's going to change the sign and become positive x. And therefore, this is 2 minus 2, that is going to be 0. And then you have what? You have 7x. So now to make x the subject of the formula, so you must divide by 7 both sides. So when you divide by 7, the value of x is equal to 0, because 0 divided by anything is 0. So the value of x will be 0 on the second equation. So if you look at the third equation, what we have is that we have 4 all multiplied by 2x minus 9 minus 4x equal 4 minus 6x. So if you have this linear equation here, and then you have now the brackets, the first thing that you do, you just simplify the brackets, and then you group what? The one that have x's on one side of the equation and the one that does not have x's on the other side of the equation. So that is what you're going to do. So you're going to say, okay, let's simplify here. This is going to be 4 multiplied by 2x. That's going to be what? That's going to be 8x. Then you say 4 multiplied by 9. That's going to be how much? 4 multiplied by negative 9. That is going to give us negative 36. Okay, and then now we still have what? Minus 4x here. Then we have 4 minus 6x. Okay, so now that we are done with the first step, remember now we want to move whatever that has x to this side of the equation. So now what is it that have x on this side? It's just going to remain the same. We have 8x minus 4x. But now this 6x here is going to move to the side. So remember, when it moves, it changes the sign. It was negative 6x, so it's going to be positive 6x. So now on this side of the equation, we are still having 4 here. So we're just going to write 4 there. And then we move everything that does not have x. So that means now we are going to move this 36 here. So the 36 was negative 36. So when we move it to the other side, when it crosses the equation, it becomes positive 36. And then that is called transposing. So now we can just add this like terms here. We say now 8 minus 4. 8 minus 4 is 4. And then 4 plus 6, that's going to give us 10x. And therefore, on this side, we have 4 plus 36. 4 plus 36 is going to give us 40. So we can divide both sides by 10. And therefore, this will cancel out. And then we have x equals to how much? 40 divided by 10 is the same thing as 4. So now the value of x is 4. So that is how you will solve the third problem. So let us look now at the last problem. So on the last problem, we are having what? This is a here. So we are having 2a minus 3 all divided by 3 minus 3a equal 9 over 3. So the first thing that you do, remember, if you have fractions, you want to make sure that the fractions are just becoming a linear numbers. So you must multiply with what is at the denominator of the fraction. But now when you multiply everything on the equation. Okay, so you're going to say this fraction here is going to multiply with 3, but also this 3a here will multiply with 3. And then this number here will also multiply with 3. So when you multiply everything out by the denominator here, which is 3. So now this 3 here will cancel that 3, and then you are just going to be left with 2a minus 3. But now remember, you also have to multiply that by 3. So this is going to be negative 3a multiplied by 3, and that will give us negative 9a. And then on this side here, when the 3 multiplies, it's going to cancel with the 3 at the denominator, and then you are left with 9. So now remember, whatever that has a, we leave it on one side, and then whatever that doesn't, we move it out. So on this side, we're just going to be left with 2a minus 9a. And then when we move the negative 3 to the other side, on this side, we still have 9. So the negative 3 will become what? A positive 3 to the other side. So now when we say 2a minus 9a, that is going to give us negative 7a. And then on this side, we have 9 plus 3, which is the same thing as 12. So now to solve for the value of a here, we divide both sides by negative 7. So therefore, the value of a is equal to negative 12 over 7. So that is all that we have in this video. Thank you very much.